Let's get it. So for this live, we're going to be going to the variables and data types. And I'm actually going to do a live for each one of these topics here, as you can see, right? And I actually want to relearn C. I remember using it back then, but haven't really used it in a while. Because a lot of the tools that you use, they're already pre-built. They're all pre-built. And yeah, just like using, I want to know how to use it because C is a very low-level programming language. It's literally binary, assembly language, and then C. C is responsible for the majority of languages that you'll find. Let me adjust the volume settings here. Just give me a little second, guys. I didn't think this would be this good, honestly. God dang. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello. Alright guys, I guess we'll continue from here. Jesus, hello, hello. This happens is this good, huh? I am not the best proest streamer, as you guys can see. Just kind of stick with me. Trying to readjust the volumes. I think the music is not bad enough. I'm trying to adjust it on my computer, and I'm listening to it through my phone. I guess it's not that bad. It doesn't seem like it would be too much in the way of the music. This will do. This is great. I think I got the settings perfect. Alright, let's restart everything. Wiki. Let's go over it again, guys. So, on this live, we're going to go through the variables and data types of the C programming language, and then we'll start going with the other ones, right? Like arrays, multi-dimensional arrays, conditions, strings, for loops, while loops, functions, and static, right? And more of the advanced topics. And every topic here is going to need at least maybe a good focus, a good time invested to learn it, because learning a programming language, you can't really do it in like 30 minutes unless you're a very brilliant guy, you know what I mean? And to program, in my opinion, you have to really understand the structure of the programming language, right? So here, as you can see here, data types. C has several types of variables, but there are a few basic types. Integers, whole numbers, which can either be positive or negative, defined using char, int, short, long, and long, right? So this is one here, long. Unsigned integers, whole numbers which can only be positive, defined using unsigned char, unsigned int, unsigned short, unsigned long, and unsigned long. We're definitely going to go a little bit deeper into this one. Unsigned integers, whole numbers which can only be positive, which to me tells me that I guess unsigned means that only the numbers can be, as it says, positive, where a char type, if I'm not mistaken, as you can see down here, is negative 128 to 127. So the unsigned characters are just positive, so it'll just show either 1 all the way through 127. That's a positive number. Negative 127, negative 126 is a negative number, and that could be used using just char by itself, right? So down here, you gotta remember, every data type has a number range, and we're gonna get into that up here. Let's see if I'm not mistaken. Oh, dang it. Data types in C. Oh, come on, bro. Let me see. Let me go back. Rolando films or something. Let me see. So this explains it, but it's not telling me the number range. I know that integer type is either 1 or 4 bytes. So 1 byte, I believe, has 8 bits in it. So this would be a 16 or 32 bits. Basic format specifiers. This is interesting. Data type flow character. Let's try this one until I find it. Here we go. So as you can see here, right? So these are the data types in C, and they have a number range. So character is any number between negative 128 all the way to 127. So you got to remember, you can use 128, you can use 129, you can use 130. You can't assign those numbers to the char type. You would have to assign it to. Actually, you can use unsigned char. As you can see, 0 to 255. There's no negative numbers to unsigned char, but there is to signed char, which is weird. So you can see negative 128 all the way to positive 127. Integer type, right? So integer types, you could either go from negative 32,768 all the way to positive 32,667, or 2,147,483,658 all the way to 2,147,583,657. And then down here is the unsigned integer. Obviously, it's just going to be positive numbers. Again, from 0 to 65,535, and then 0 to almost 5 billion, as you can see there. And then short, which is negative 32,768, all the way to 32,767. And then the unsigned short, which is always a positive. Remember that unsigned is positive numbers. And then you got the long, right? Long is, I don't even know what this number is. Quadrillion, quadrillion, gazillion, negative 9 gazillion, all the way to positive 9 gazillion, right? And then you got the unsigned long. Again, unsigned means just positive, 0 to 18 bazillion, right? So down here, they're showing an example of it. Example of integer data types. Given below is an example to get the size of various types on a machine using different constant defining limits.h header file. Alright, so as we can see here, right? Ironically, this is a fancy way of interpreting down here the data types. So car bit, right? So as we know, I guess a byte would be 8 bits, and then car max would make it 127. Let me see, let me go up here. Oh, it wasn't this one that was showing it. And then our float data types, which are these down here. Again, and they usually have like a little period in its place. So a float, this to that, and then double, this to that, and then long double, which I'm assuming is very long, this to that, right? As you can see here, another fancy way of interpreting it. Again, up here we have the libraries. You can think of them as API that asks the operating system for functions of code that will be interpreted on here. As you can see, the main execution point here of integer main, and then it's assigning integers here, integer RGC, and then car RGV, and then this down here, and then it's giving us the output. User-defined data types in C. There are two user-defined data types in struct and union. This can be defined by the user with the help of combination of other basic data types. Struct data type. One of the unique features of C is to store values of different data types in one variable. The keywords struct and union provide derive a user-defined data type. For example, car and then name, which it pretty much makes it an array right here. Again, from negative 127 all the way to positive negative 128 all the way to positive 127. So this checks out. It used 20, right? And then integer marks age that hasn't been assigned anything yet. And then union, that a union is a special case of struct where the size of union variable is not the sum of the sizes of the individual elements as in struct, but corresponds to the largest size among individuals. Hence, only one of the elements can be used at a time. Look at following example. Union A, B, and then curly brackets, integer A and float B. Alright guys, I'm sorry about that. I'm reading it, so I'm trying to understand this a little bit more. It's kind of going a little bit deep. Let's see what basic syntax is. Printf, hello world, identifiers, keyword, semicolons to shut it down. Alright guys, sorry about that. I was reading something real quick, and I think we went over everything in C data types. So you definitely are gonna have to use Google as your best friend to find different websites that explain it, because I'm noticing that everyone has its own explanation of it. Data types, let's see, a couple of examples. Let's do this one. So data types: primitive, char, integer, float, void. Signed, which I believe is just strictly negative, and then unsigned is strictly positive. And then long double, I'm assuming it's just its own thing. We got the arrays over here. I can't believe we gotta use struct, union, or none for that. To even use that's pretty crazy to me. As you can see here, unsigned is positive. Short includes both negative and positive. Unsigned is just pure positivity. Integer is pure. It's actually, just the original character types, as you can see here. And then unsigned, etc., etc. You gotta log in to continue. I mean, not bad. Showing a pretty good example of stuff. Let's do this. Alright guys, on my next video we're going to be going through we're going to be going through arrays, so that's going to be interesting. I'll probably either do the stream later on today or tomorrow, so alright guys, tune in for that. Let me see, learn.microsoft.com, it's interesting. They teach how to code too. C++, they use the same syntax, so it's not much different.